people paid special attention to her due to her beauty. They were amazed because she and Henry were an extraordinarily beautiful couple. In addition, they had an air of elegance. After walking into the lounge, Ariana and Henry seated themselves. A while later, Henry went to the bathroom while Ariana sat there alone. All of a sudden, she sensed something evil entering the lounge. She immediately raised her head and saw a foreign man who was about 30 years old. He was handsome, tall, and had a pair of dark, brooding eyes, which were especially attractive.
Everyone kept saying how Betty has fast withdrawals, so I had to check, and now I totally get the hype. So I went to check out what people say about Betty, and yep, it's rated 4.4 stars on Trustpilot. People love it, and it's fully regulated in Ontario, so you know it's legit. I signed up out of curiosity, and now I just love it. I love that Betty.ca is built for Ontario players. No sketchy stuff, just slots and smooth payouts. Now I see why the reviews are fire. Click the link below.
Please get low.
We can also lift unwanted items on carrot, sell, and make some money.
I'll put the old and in with the new. That would carrot out today.
Cut through market noise with Canada's first AI broker. Start each trading day with Moomoo's AI-driven daily stock reports. Quickly grasp market updates on news, trends, and indicators. Get you the upper hand with our trend analysis. Show similar historical patterns. And receive bullish or bearish signals with our analysis of 15 key technical indicators. Join Moomoo today and enjoy generous rewards like 100. Cut through market noise with Canada's first AI broker. Start each trading day with Moomoo's AI-driven daily stock reports. Quickly grasp market updates on news, trends, and indicators. Get you the upper hand with our trend analysis. Show similar historical patterns. And receive bullish or bearish signals with our analysis of 15 key technical indicators. Join Moomoo today and enjoy generous rewards like 100% commission refund.
Wings are out, heart stones for them, and she's not a leggings girl anymore. Every marriage can relate. New school year, they want to reinvent themselves. A new identity. All these clothes I bought last summer are just not that vibe.
Don't worry, Mama. This time we will find a carrot.
Carrot is a second.
Have you seen these brands? Have you tracked their stock for 90 days? And many others are equally stunning gains. While global markets flatline, U.S. indexes shatter record highs. Imagine capturing moves like these. Now start trading on Moomoo, joining over 26 million users worldwide. Enjoy 100% commission refunds and up to $4,600 welcome reward. With powerful and intelligent trading tools, you can navigate the market with ease. Spot opportunities, ride market, and trade smarter.
Aquí los mejores tacos del mundo, ¿cómo puedo ayudarte?
Mejores tacos del mundo, te estás dando demasiado crédito, ¿no crees, hermano?
¿Qué onda, hermana? ¿Me llegó el dinero que te envié por remite para el nuevo camión de comida?
Claro que sí, ya estamos listos y funcionando y todos somos la receta secreta familiar.
Me imagino. Si estuvieras aquí le quitarías el negocio a todas las taquerías.
Y nada de esto habría sido posible sin ti. Gracias, hermano.
Claro que sí. Tengo que apoyar los segundos mejores tacos del mundo.
Ay, hermano, siempre tan humilde.
Remitly te ayuda a estar ahí incluso cuando no.
However, Ariana could send
Perhaps saying the name out loud, Quinn was expecting somewhat of a reaction from Hannah, but there was nothing. If Ticker didn't know what the leaders' names were, it was unlikely that Hannah would know either. For a split second, Hannah saw a change in Quinn's expression. She knew he was expecting something. Seeing this made her recall the time when she first saw him. When the two first met, she wasn't afraid of him even after knowing his great strength. She just knew that she needed to be cautious and not get on his wrong side. Honestly, even after seeing what this vampire could do, her opinion hadn't really changed. After the incident with Derek, she had figured out what had most likely happened after she had time to think about it. During the fight in the room, her action had been irrational, all because of seeing the Dampier. I will help, Hannah replied. I still don't think what we red vampires are doing is wrong, and if you have a friend or someone you know in the red vampires, then it means they believe the same. I haven't made a report back to the red vampire base, and the other guys weren't able to as well. I will be your link, and even help you if you let me go back to the red vampires. I know I'm not in a position to ask this, but I don't think the two of us are enemies here. Quinn thought about it for a while. Hannah had helped him, and it was true that he shouldn't put all of the red vampires in the same category just because of one bad incident. At the same time, he was sure after having witnessed his strength, she would problem for him was either Laxmus or Aaron. If I can talk things over with the chain, I'm hoping there won't be a need for that. Anyway, since you're willing to help me, I will consider it and might bring you out later, Quinn said, and left the shadow space before Hannah could respond. This vampire, he's really going against the chain. But with whom? Which group? Or is he planning to go on his own? Damn it, I have to think of a way to save myself if he decides to do something like that. With nothing to do, Hannah decided to walk through the space. She was wondering if there was anyone else in here. Either way, it didn't take long for the windy sound, which she had heard all along, to intensify. The hairs on her body stood up as she felt the goosebumps. She knew something was coming toward her. She prepared her red vampire aura in her hands, ready for an attack. However, when she saw what was coming toward her, her hands and shoulders dropped, and a helpless expression appeared on her face. Wait, is that a dragon? Before she even had time to think about anything else, the huge dragon landed only a few feet away from her. She expected that with the latter's weight, there would be an earthquake upon its landing on the shadowed ground, but no such thing happened in the shadow space. What she did feel was its aura, though, so she increased her red aura output and made sure to cover herself. Welcome. It looks like he has given me another one to look after, Ray stated, speaking directly into her head as he would do to Quinn. I can hear and understand the beast. Yes, I can hear you and I can speak to you, Ray replied. Either way, now that you are in this shadow space, I must welcome you. The thing is, I get a little bored here, and the other two have begun to bore me a little, so you have come at a perfect time. Hannah was wondering if she was dreaming of everything. The whole thing seemed crazy, and she wondered what a giant dragon beast was even doing in this space in the first place. Was it a pet of some sort? Me? A pet? How dare you? Ray was instantly hurt. At that moment, Hannah saw two lines of yellow aura coming right for her. She quickly rolled and skidded across the ground, narrowly avoiding both of them. When she looked up, she saw two Dampiers with the dragon. They jumped off, and it looked like they were ready to charge in, but the dragon soon put its feet in front of them, stopping their path. The two Dampiers immediately stopped moving and obeyed the dragon. Don't worry, if Quinn wants you alive, I will keep you alive, but I will make you three fight each other in the meantime. Grow stronger, maybe one day you will be able to entertain me a little bit. Ray smiled, revealing his enormous, sharp teeth. Wait, Quinn, are you talking about the hero Quinn? Hannah asked. Once again, Ray just smiled, revealing that there was a lot for her to learn. Meanwhile, Quinn returned to the ship with Mitchell, and it looked like everything was all right. The others were all still patiently waiting, and Minnie had a big smile on her face. It didn't take long after that the group was ready to head to Earth. It looked like whatever Andy needed to do was done, and now they were heading to Earth. The rest of the journey between the group was primarily silent. Lucia was trying to find the right time to approach Quinn. However, she found him playing with Minnie. Earlier, she had experience for Minnie. Of course, Quinn was holding back and would let her win. Until Minnie started to brag, of course, and then Quinn would catch her once in a while. It was a nice sight to see, which was why Lucia decided she should wait for now and ask her questions later. Just then, an announcement resounded throughout the ship. We are now approaching planet Earth. After the first Dalkey War, Earth didn't have as much land mass as it did in the past. This led to gigantic high-rise buildings surrounded by walls. Since the war was going on at the time, it also allowed protection in case of an attack. Due to the low population of the human race, the little land mass worked out better for them. However, the current time was not like that of the past. In the past, only the wealthiest people could live on Earth, while others would have no choice but to live on the beast planet's solar system. Now, though, Earth had once again become a All members of the chain lived there, and there were 100 rooms. There weren't many members of the chain. They numbered 50 in total, and the others that lived in the building were servants, workers, or guests. When an official member would perish, they would replace that member. As for families, the members of the chain didn't really have a family. It was a weakness to them, and they weren't the type to settle down. Once in a while, perhaps a member would pass on their knowledge of their ability to a person. Then, when they perished, that student could attempt to join the chain, but there was no guarantee. If they chose not to do this, each chain member was to write details of how their ability worked and put it into an ability book that would be stored in a particular place. However, they didn't operate like Pure despite having some similarities in their system. There was no internal ranking of who was strongest. Everyone knew they were strong ability users, and a lot of them had the same history and past. The chain, the original, and core members all had the same goal they were working towards. The leader made sure of that because it was a prerequisite to joining the chain in the first place. He made sure that all members followed this rule, or there would be an unavoidable punishment. Inside the large establishment, looking at herself in the mirror, sitting up straight, Jessica couldn't help but let out a big puff of air. "Dear, please, could you not move so much while doing this? We promise it won't take long," a woman said, who was busy applying makeup onto Jessica's cheeks. Jessica was in a room that would be fit for a princess. It was large, glamorous, and had all the luxuries one could want. Even staring out the balcony overlooking the swimming pools, where she could see some of the other members having fun and a laugh. She was in a tight-fitting white dress, a wedding dress. At the moment, they were going through a trial run of the wedding. It wasn't the actual day, but they were picking the hairstyle and the dress and the other things. "Hey, if I tried to escape, would you try and stop me?" Jessica asked. Other than the 4 maids attending her, there didn't seem to be anyone else in the room. No members of the chain, anyway. There were worried looks on the maids' faces when asked this question. "Please don't try that, Miss Jessica. Otherwise, we all would be in great trouble," the maid said. I know, Jessica sighed again. "It would be selfish of me, and besides, now that I'm in this place, I could never escape it. Maybe when there were only a few chained here and there, but all 50 of them. This has to be one of the most secure prisons in the world." In another part of the connected building, there were quite a few members in a dark bar. It was lit up with different neon lights, music blaring out loudly. Some female dancers wearing skimpy clothing had been brought from the outside, not part of the chained group. They had been brought in for a particularly high-paying job, and would be sent home when told to. Sitting in the most oversized chair, there was a medium-framed man in the room. His hair was long, blonde, curly, and the strangest thing was that he was the only one wearing his beast gear, unlike all the others in the bar. On both of the man's hands, 2 blades were tattooed onto them. He was the only chain with 2 blade tattoos on him, which signified that he was the leader who had built up this place and had gathered the chained in the first place. Sitting in his chair, he continued to watch the girls dance. Suddenly, out from his side, a man looked to have appeared out of nowhere, as if he had teleported into the place. "A report," the man said. "We have asked all the news channels to be ready for your big day, sir. At the same time, invitations are ready to be handed out to all of the groups. The Vampire Corps, the Green Family, the Grey Lash Group, the Bree Family, and more. We have made sure that each group sends an important figure to this wedding. After all, it is your big day. There's only one thing we need, sir, and that is the day of the wedding itself." The leader continued to stare ahead at the girls, not breaking eye contact. "Send an invite to Pura and ask them if they wish to bring someone from the Dampiers. The Red Vampires probably already have someone on the inside coming to this event. Still, there is one thing that needs to be done. Tell the Greens that they can't just send the Green Family. They need to send a blade as well." Hearing this, the man looked a little nervous. He knew about the deep hatred the Chained and the Blade family had for each other. "Don't worry, the world will be watching this. They won't act. It will just annoy them even more that they can't act. And if they do, well, that gives us a chance to get rid of them without starting anything. We have been enjoying benefits from the Green family for quite a while now, but after this marriage, everything will soon change. As for what day?" The man by the leader's side knew what to do. He clicked his fingers, and once again, as if being teleported in, a hooded figure appeared by his side. "Shall I have my wedding one day from now?" the leader asked. Hearing this, the hooded figure threw out a coin onto the floor. It spun and eventually landed on the tail side. "2 days from now?" he asked again. Pulling out another coin, the figure tossed it again, but it was the same result, landing on tails. "3 days from now?" Throwing out the coin, this one seemed to spin for longer than any of the others. As it was slowing down, it looked like a result would appear. However, one of the girl dancers stepped on the coin. Immediately, before she even realized it, she could no longer see as her body fell to the ground, limp and dead. The other girls were getting ready to scream, but each of them fell and died in seconds. Then the leader stood up and walked over to where the coin was, seeing that it landed on heads. "What does this mean? Is the third day a good day?" the leader asked. The hooded figure lifted its head, revealing glowing red eyes underneath. "Yes."
Dear listener, the upcoming episode will be today's last free episode of this story. Come back tomorrow to enjoy free episodes or get coins now to continue listening.
The night sky was out and Jessica was lying all alone on the giant bed inside her room. Now that they were gone, she actually somewhat missed the company of those maids, even if they had pestered her for the better half of the day by making her dress for what would be the worst day of her life. It was a long day going through the rehearsal, and what was worse was the fact that her future husband wasn't even there to go through it with her. "I'm okay with this. No, I have to be okay with this. You don't want to be the cause of a whole war, Jessica," she thought to herself, trying to keep calm now that her mind was allowed to roam free. She knew that her privacy was just a farce. There was bound to be at least one camera in the room, from which someone should be watching her 24 hours a day. Worse yet, people outside the door and outside of the windows. Grabbing one of the oversized pillows, she shoved it into her face and proceeded to scream into it, resulting in a muffled scream. Unfortunately, it was a short-lived escape. A few seconds after she was done, her mind wandered yet again. "I wonder how Lucia and the others are doing. Given how crazy things were, me disappearing should be relatively tame, right? What am I thinking? Of course it is the two of them. They even had the largest bounties in existence placed on their heads. I initially thought it was because of me, but now I'm not so sure. Never even found out why that happened. And I miss Minnie. She was like the small sister I never had. I hope she doesn't hate me for not saying goodbye. Are they missing me as much as I am missing them?" Jessica had only known them for a few days. With how much had happened in that relatively short time frame, it had felt like it had been far longer, though. As she thought back about how confidently she had acted towards them, believing to be an asset, rather than the onlooker she had turned out to be, a shade of red came over her, and in order to cover up that embarrassment, she grabbed the pillow and screamed into it once again. "You have my condolences, Jessica. I'm sure this isn't how you wanted your life to turn out." When taking the pillow off her head, the vampire expected to see no one. Honestly, she thought that she was just going crazy, starting to hear voices in her head, but as it turned out, there actually was a hooded person standing in the center of the room. Although Jessica had no problem seeing in the dark, the face of the person was hidden behind the hood. Yet the large staff in her hand was all the information one needed to recognize the woman. You! I did everything you told me to, and look where that got me," Jessica shouted, as she got up from the bed, storming towards the woman. "How did you even get in here? If the chain find out, not only will you be in trouble, but so will I." Processing the words she had just let out, Jessica decided to quiet her voice down. However, the unknown woman seemed unbothered by that prospect. That was because she had already made preparations beforehand, expecting this type of reaction. "Even though you are in a tough situation, you have done as I asked. For all this time, you've managed to keep your secret," the woman spoke. Hearing this, Jessica paused before reaching her. She thought back to the last time the two met. It was soon after her father had perished. She had been young with no clue what to do next, and in the end, the one who had guided her was this woman, advising her to join the Vampire Corps. Somehow this woman had known that Jessica had been the child of a vampire mother and a human father, something that had been considered impossible. As such, her birth had been quite the big deal, even before she had started manifesting traits of a vampire. As time went on, those powers had strengthened, not to the point where she had felt an urge to find her fellow vampires or kill them, However, the fear that it might appear one day had consumed her on a daily basis, and then all of this mess with the chain had started. Seeing the person who had recommended her to go to the vampire core in the first place, Jessica wanted to blame her, yet before she said a word, she realized that it wouldn't change anything at this moment. "I may have kept the secret you told me to, but there were those who saw me," Jessica lamented. The woman raised an eyebrow as if she was intrigued by this. "And how did they act?" "They didn't act at all. Actually, I'm not quite sure. Some people tried to kill me like you said they would. As for the ones that were protecting me, what does this even matter in the first place? You have yet to tell me why you've come here. I haven't seen you even once in all these years, so why now? Have you come to tell me what to do next? To get me out? Or is the future you foresaw one where I marry this guy and live the rest of my life in shame?" There was a pause as if the woman was thinking about what to say. "I'm sorry, but in all the futures I saw, you ended up here. I advised you to enter the vampire core because that should have allowed you the happiest life until now. As for what happens next, that is up to you, but you should know the consequences of that best. The fact is that if you don't go through with this, there will be conflict. Honestly, my advice would be to try and get as close to the chained as possible. Then when your secret is out, at least you will have a strong set of people to protect you. Given what you are, the vampire core can't protect you. You will now have to rely on others." Hearing this, Jessica's hands were shaking. That's your answer?" She ran forward as fast as she could at the figure, making sure not to use her vampire aura to attack, just in case it would alert the others. The woman in front seemed calm, not taking a step. When the fist landed upon the woman's body, her figure just lit up in a golden light. Jessica felt her hand go right through the body, and she almost tumbled to the floor herself. Looking back, the figure was no longer there. In a way, this person had been her last hope to get out of this situation, and now she had been told to try to get close to the one she disliked. Covering her face with both her hands, she was fighting back the tears. The next day, the sun rose, and the events that happened yesterday felt like a dream to Jessica for a moment. Still, part of her knew that the woman had been here, but that didn't matter. Looking outside, she knew it was one day closer until the day of her wedding. She had already been informed that it would begin tomorrow. "Miss Jessica?" A female voice called out, and the next second the doors were swung wide open. Storming inside as if they were ready for war were yesterday's maids. The one at the front was holding up a scarlet red dress. "Miss Jessica, you are to get changed into this as soon as possible so that we can escort you to the outside grounds," the head maid explained. Jessica was confused. One, it was a white dress, and the second reason was the fact that the wedding was to take place tomorrow, not today. Nevertheless, she knew that she had no real choice, so she followed the instructions. After getting changed, they headed out to the outside field, which was large and filled with more people than Jessica had ever seen around the chained area. There were many unknown faces among them, though some she could recognize as public figures. Then, she also noticed that there was a large red runway carpet leading from where the spaceships would go to the main building. Just up ahead, she could see several drones that were being used as scanners, and immediately they went flying toward Jessica. A little flustered and embarrassed as her dress showed quite a bit of her skin, she wanted to attack the cameras. Before she could, the man suddenly appeared in front of her. This annoying clicky finger man, Jessica thought, having seen him before she had been taken away. "Apologies, Miss Jessica. The reporters have arrived earlier than anticipated. The leader wishes for you to do an interview with them, and also to greet all the guests that will be arriving a day early before the wedding," the man instructed. It made it clear to Jessica that this really was going to be a world broadcasted event.
Dear listener, now playing the next audio series.
He sensed something evil entering the lounge. She immediately raised her head and saw a foreign man who was about 30 years old. He was handsome, tall, and had a pair of dark, brooding eyes, which were especially attractive. However,
transform volatility into an investment opportunity. Profit even when markets dip. Monitor markets with 16 indicators and tailor alerts for surges or dips. Dive into your favorite stocks with our AI-driven tools. Spot historical patterns and predict gains or falls with eases. Decode market whispers. Day or night, minute by minute. Is it bullish? Bearish? Moo knows. Enjoy commission refunds and up to $4,600 rewards if you join.
Aquí los mejores tacos del mundo, ¿cómo puedo ayudarte?
Mejores tacos del mundo, te estás dando demasiado crédito, ¿no crees, hermano?
¿Qué onda, hermana? ¿Te llegó el dinero que te envié por remilo y para el nuevo camión de comida?
Claro que sí, ya estamos listos y funcionando y todos aman la receta secreta familiar.
Me imagino. Si estuvieras aquí le quitarías el negocio a todas las taquerías.
Y nada de esto habría sido posible sin ti. Gracias.
Claro que sí. Tengo ya los segundos mejores tacos del mundo.
Ay, hermano, siempre tan humilde.
Remily te ayuda a estar ahí, incluso cuando no.
Being an active dad like me doesn't mean you have to be uncomfortable. I'm just loving this new shirt from folks. It's just designed for guys that know it's going to be plus protection, cover turns, all off. And the fabric is that super soft, lightweight, breathable. I can fold it up and don't need this comfortable. I love it. Check this out. Not a single wrinkle on this thing. And this is probably my favorite part. I can just take this right out of my bag, put it on. It's stretchy enough to just keep up with everything I do. Check this out. And it's even got the quick dry material, so it doesn't matter if you're sweating, it's ready to go. So if you're thinking about getting one, don't wait. Hit that link right below. It'll take you straight to the shop so you can lock it in before they sell out. Don't say I didn't warn you. There's the link right there. Go get it before it's too late.
I choose Brampton to trade crypto from Canada. On-ramp in seconds with e-transfer and get Canadian dollar native order books. I choose Kraken to trade crypto.
park where local parents sell stuff their kids barely use. I saved $100 from buying pre-loved stuff, and it feels safe knowing everyone is location verified and they even have ID verification. Plus, you can resell all the stuff on Carrot after your kid grows up with it.
So join your church community today.
How can we transform volatility into an investment opportunity? Profit even when markets dip. Monitor markets with 16 indicators. And tailor alerts for surges or dips. Dive into your favorite stocks with our AI-driven tools. Spot historical patterns and predict gains or falls with eases. Decode market whispers. Day or night, minute by minute. Is it bullish?
Ariana could sense immediately that
There was visible concern on Jessica's face. For one, this was something that she wasn't a willing participant for. She didn't like the fact that she had to do this, and now she would need to put on a fake smile for the whole world to see. Damn it, damn it, damn it. This thing just can't get any worse. As she said those words, not too far behind the countless number of drones, she could see groups of reporters running towards her. There wasn't just one team, but it looked like streamers, as well as those from other solar systems who must have arrived just for this event. What do I do? Jessica thought, as she was trying to compose herself. None of the preparation she went through yesterday had gotten her ready for this. Don't worry, he doesn't expect you to entertain them all on your own. Clicker, as Jessica liked to refer to him, clicked his fingers again, and suddenly her soon-to-be husband, who she hadn't seen once since arriving, was suddenly in front of her. Russ, Jessica stammered, as she bowed down holding her dress. Although she disliked this person for forcing her to play along in his farce, the vampire knew that as the leader of the Chained, Russ had to be shown a certain amount of respect. When Jessica lifted her head, she watched his arm stretch out in her direction. A cold chill went through her body as it reminded her of the first time the two had met. However, he merely placed his hand around her shoulder and brought her in close. Today you look extra gorgeous. I hope you can share your smile with the world on such a beautiful day like this one, the leader of the Chained stated. It was true that the day certainly was a good one. There were fluffy white clouds showing the clear blue sky. Of course, this was just using human standards. For vampires, this was a nightmare. But of course, she wouldn't correct Russ about that. The one thing she did want to speak about was the fact that Russ's own expression hadn't changed. It looked like he was trying to smile, but his eyes were still showing no emotion in them. Thank you so much for inviting the Band V station to one of the biggest events in the world. The whole world is excited to find out just who has managed to capture the heart of the Chained leader. The famous man voted to be the most cold-hearted bachelor for 10 years in a row. The reporter closest to them claimed. He was a young man in his 20s with light blue hair. The reason he was the first one on the scene was all due to his ability, which was speed. Each reporter had wanted to be the first to ask a question to the couple. They all took a step back after hearing the question that the first reporter asked. Damn it, they invited Band V studio here, another reporter thought. They do rack up the most views, so it makes sense, but I swear that AJ is just asking to die young. The other reporters had all been briefed beforehand about what questions they were to ask. More so, they were warned that if they tried to push the boundaries with the questions they asked, or in some way insinuate or insult the Chained,